Better Than Me podcast with John Conover. I get to interview individuals with business success in the hopes that I can learn how to better grow my own business. And those of you that listen in alongside of me, you get to learn right next to me. And today I've got the privilege of interviewing Javier and A Night with Javier. We should just call the whole business, like, that's your name, A Night with Javier, right?
Yeah. It's not that kind of night, brother. You know what I mean? It's not that kind of night.
Javier is one of the greatest mixologists in the world and runs an amazing event business, lots of weddings, lots of events. And Javier, it's been awesome getting to know you on a personal level. And full disclosure, just for the audience, I am proudly in active recovery and I don't drink. But I respect Javier so much and what he's been able to accomplish in the business world, regardless of the craft. I believe you can learn from any business owner. And so while I have experienced Javier's work, I don't anymore. And,
I'm good.
And I'm grateful that you took some time out of your day to be able to share some of your business wisdom with our crew. So thanks so much for being on.
It's a pleasure, John. I'm really happy to be here and I'm excited to interview with you.
Awesome. So let's go back to the beginning, because so many of the audience is going to be individuals that are breaking out into the business world. Maybe they have a full-time job now. They have aspirations of working for themselves. And I think for so many, the breakout, going from employee to entrepreneur, that breakout is the hardest part. Giving birth to that business is the hardest part. And so take us back maybe to the beginning about how you got involved into your business, and then take the opportunity to describe what your business is.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you asking that. Yeah, I kind of fell into it, John, to be honest with you. I did a lot of insurance work for many years, and I had that in my back pocket, when I started doing this, so it kind of like stopped me, because I like that comfort zone of just having something in your back pocket in case what you do doesn't make it. And I kind of realized that you kind of have to take a leap at some point and jump into something, So, the way it got started, I fell into it. I took a part-time job in a martini bar in Ole at the Bridge Inn, and just working every weekend. It got me away from my kids. I was a single dad at the time. I'm still a single father, but my kids are older. And it just got me up there on the weekends. I was making drinks and I just fell in love with it, and it's just something I really enjoyed doing. And I fell in love with the whole craft part. I was a mess for a while, but like I said, I just started, getting really good at it. And after some time, I'm thinking like, I really want to do this full time, and that's pretty much how it started. Because someone, they came in and they asked me to do their wedding. And I'll make the story as short as possible, because this could take up the whole 45 minutes. But someone asked me to work their wedding, in which I said no for a long time, because I had no idea about private events, and I didn't want to mess up their special day. Sure. But for about a year, they kept coming in and pressing me to work their wedding. And finally, the father comes in one weekend and hands me a blank check and says, "You're working my daughter's wedding. I don't care. Just put a price on it." You know what I mean? So, I still wanted him to say no. So I wrote like an astronomical price on the check. I wrote like $10,000 on it. And he looks at the check. He's like, "Javier, that's it?" And I'm like, "Nah, I forgot the travel fee. I forgot the I've got a whole bunch of other things."
Killing me. You're killing me.
Yeah, yeah, but more went into it. But obviously I worked the wedding, and it went great and I really loved it. And then just from there, that wedding was about 250 people. And the bricks kept building after that, and I just kept getting, more calls and more calls and more calls. And it got to a point where, I can either jump into this full time and then put my whole effort into it and really, have it grow the way it is today, or stay comfortable in my position as an insurance agent and just still do this like, part time, but there was one day I'm like, I'm going to jump into this, because I really feel like you should do what you're passionate about, because I think that's what the world needs. You know what I mean? Like something that brings life out of you and brings you passion. And once you do that, you're going to attract business. So because people love passionate people. They love people like really happy about what they're doing and how they're walking in life. So
what year was that?
Probably got around COVID is when, a little after COVID, is when I really jumped into it full time, so,
Wow.
yeah,
What
and
year
then
was
it's been
that
full-time
wedding?
since.
That wedding?
That wedding was 2018, like 2018-ish. Yeah.
So that was
Yeah.
the start.
Yeah, that was
So
the
we're
start.
5 years in now. You
Yeah.
have a full-blown business.
Yep. Full time.
Tell us about it. Tell us about it. Like,
Hey,
what's a night
listen,
with
so,
Javier mean?
so night with, I mean, the whole, I didn't name the business, to be honest with you. It was just something that, it was named after a drink. There's a whole story behind that. But what I do is I staff private events. It's not just, we're known for the bartending piece, but we staff servers. We can staff cleanup, whatever you need. So if you have an event, we could pretty much staff it, with whatever you need for it. Like a lot of people just want like a server to help them. A lot of people just want table service to help clean up tables. But we're known for the bartending piece. That's what gets us booked all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's not just a normal bartending operation. We really prioritize craft cocktails. So it's not like a cookie cutter operation where we have like a his and her Malibu Bay Breeze and, Moscow Mule or something like that. When people reach out to me, I pretty much try to get in front of them right away and set up an entire craft bar. We set up all of our fresh fruit, all of our fresh herbs and things like that. That way they see it's not like a cookie cutter operation. We can really make the whole event unique and to tell a story of your life. You know what I mean? So, so that's pretty much what we do and what we're known for. And we've been booked pretty much all across the country. It's kind of been crazy to think that where I started I'm actually booked in Denver next year. You know what I mean? So,
Wow.
but
I've seen you in Florida. I've seen you in Phoenix. I mean, where else have you gone?
Yeah, I've been to New York. I've been to Buffalo. I've been to Orlando, Washington, D.C., New York City a couple of times, Scottsdale, Arizona, Paradise Valley, Arizona. Like I said, next year we're in Denver. And that's just from making connections at different events. When they see the difference and the uniqueness of what we do at the bar and the bar operation and how creative we can be. Like I said, it's not cookie cutter. Like everyone is different. You know what I mean? And like people have drinks at your event that they didn't have anywhere else. That they're all original to your event. So which makes it unique, and people see that.
Speaking of unique, different.
Yeah,
I'm going to throw you a curveball.
Okay.
In a second. All right. Curveball question in a second. So just be ready. Okay.
All right.
But while we're on the topic, mastering your craft, obviously mastering specifically the craft you're in, but the topic of mastering your craft for any entrepreneur that's getting into any business in any industry. Talk about separating yourself from the herd. Talk about mastering your craft. Talk about attention to detail.
Yeah. That's all really important. The details. I think
maybe
first
give
of
us
all,
an example.
I mean, the way I think of it, John, is like I don't think about the competition. Like to me, I'm in competition with myself. You know what I mean? So like whatever anyone else is doing in this industry, that's great. You know what I mean? I try to learn from everyone that I meet. But I'm in competition with myself, and that makes me work. You know what I'm saying? Like. I never feel like I made it all the way, you can ask my staff members. Every event, I'm really nervous. Like it's my first one. Like I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it keeps you sharp, just mastering it, like working at it every single day. I follow so many different, bartenders all around the world, and we're all connected. So I'm just learning from them and just always, working at it and learning from other people, but not competing with them, because we're kind of learning with each other, so just competing with myself, making sure that I'm staying sharp with my knowledge. Like if someone has a question about something, I better be ready to ask it, being a professional in this industry, I better be able to answer it, so just working hard at it, man, and never thinking that you know everything, because I think that's when you become the biggest fool, so I'm just always working at it. I'm always gaining knowledge. I'm always trying to find out, what the new trends are in the industry, trying to implement those trends into what I do. And I always try to stay a step ahead, of what my thoughts were yesterday, not where anywhere else is at, but where I was at yesterday. I try to take a step ahead of that, and try to stay a step ahead of myself, so and that just comes from learning from other people and making sure that you're keeping track of the trends and things like that, because it's always changing in this industry. There's always something new. People are always doing, different things, so and plus you got to learn how to create.
You were working in a bar restaurant.
Yeah.
Okay. You do things differently in your business than that place of business did.
Right.
You could probably talk a little bit about those differences. And in that way, I guess I wouldn't even call it competing. You were creating a difference.
Right.
Okay. So the experience with you is different. How? Fill in the blank.
Okay.
And then and look, I know you're not competing against restaurants. That's not your competition, but you still do it different.
Right.
You got your start in the restaurant. You're doing the same thing as far as making a cocktail, but you do it different. Okay. But then there's got to be other event businesses out there. And you might even do things differently from some of them. Yeah. So maybe talk about the bridge from the bridge into.
Well, I'll tell you what, from all of my travels so far, John, and I've met so many great people on this journey, and they all tell me the same thing. I've never seen bartending like this ever, like anywhere. And these people have been all over the place, and not just at events, but at different restaurants and things like that. So I think what separates me, John, with what I do, which is why I like getting in front of people right away, is everything is fresh. It's almost like you're coming into a chef's kitchen when you come to my bar.
No syrups.
No pre-mixed syrups, like no sour mix, no none of that, no roses, lime juice. Your guest or anyone who comes up to my bar, they're gonna see the exact strawberry we're using to infuse their drink with. They're gonna see the exact lemon we're using, the exact lime we're using, the exact mint leaf we're using. So everything is handcrafted and from the beginning, which is what makes it different from everywhere else. A lot of restaurants, they're into it for just speed. They just want to get the drinks out quick, which I kind of understand. There are ways to do it very fast too, but I just think I'm one, like, I want to make sure that my drink is the freshest drink they've ever had, and that they see from the beginning to the end that it was actually prepared, handcrafted from the beginning to the finish. So when it goes into your mouth, you know what I mean? That this is a really, really fresh operation from the beginning, and that's what's different for me. And other people in this industry and from other restaurants too. Like I've been around, not that you can't get a good drink at a restaurant, but it's not going to be as fresh as mine.
I think you have full permission to just go ahead and brag on yourself, because, and I'll vouch for that. That
I appreciate it.
It's very high quality stuff, and so that's interesting. So okay, now because of the audience. And I've been very public about my journey. There are those of us that when it comes to this topic, even just with alcohol in general, I think there's a big movement in the social space right now. This is my curveball, by the way.
Oh, great. Can't wait.
There's a big movement in the social space right now for nootropics, for non-alcoholic beverages, for a social beverage, maybe served as a cocktail, with a calming, relaxing, whatever feeling, but non-alcoholic. What is that a place where you think your business evolves in the future?
Oh, it's already there. I've been doing that for years, bro. So I mean, I actually, if you look at I do post some of my menus from different events. There's a mocktail part on there too, and that's been there for a long time, because I think, listen, first of all, like, I appreciate what you're doing with your sobriety. Honestly, I'm an advocate for that. So I know it's not easy, so I definitely appreciate people that can stay away. Trust me, you know what I mean? So yeah, you're doing great with that. But as far, I mean, we've been doing mocktails for a while. I've actually done a few mocktail events where it's just all mocktails, and it's pretty much the same preparation. It's the same thing: fresh fruit, fresh juices, things like that. We just don't add the alcohol. So yeah, and like I said, we've done full-blown mocktail events where it's just mocktails. So especially we've done a bunch of Sweet 16 parties where the teenagers felt all bougie drinking these martinis, you know what I mean, and all of that, but there was no alcohol in it. You know what I'm saying? So
thank God they were 16.
Yeah, there were 16. But there's also, I mean, there's a movement now where they're actually creating like non-alcoholic rums, non-alcoholic tequilas, and things like that. We can use those too. But I've been doing mocktails for a long time. I mean, I think that's I'm surprised that restaurants don't jump on that and add like a mocktail section to their menus, because there's a lot of high profitability,
Well, I was going to say,
with the mocktails.
You had to have heard of, obviously the drinks are out there that are in the tropics that are like the Hyos.
Yeah.
Where they do kind of have a relaxing, so you can kind of calm your nerves a little bit. I guess from a social standpoint, I used to struggle with social anxiety a lot, and drinks were a part of that. And even just socially, just to have something in your hand, there's got to be now that I'm very aware of being in recovery, what I've started to realize is there's a huge segment of the population that wants to avoid alcohol, but doesn't want to avoid socializing. Right. And I was actually talking, it's actually funny because literally I have a sister, I'm the oldest of 5. But the youngest of the 5, she's 21. And, this topic came up because with my family and the journey I've been on, it's become a topic of conversation. She goes, yeah, I just don't even really get in. Man, I just don't really get into drinking anymore. Like, I just don't. And I'm like, okay, like, are you weird in your, she goes, no, actually, in my generation, a lot of us aren't. And she's into fitness and all that. I'm like, so I know for your business, you could tap into both worlds, but I think that's going to be a trend that grows.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And I think, people that don't drink, they should be part of the fun too, so, because there's a lot of entertainment value with what we do too, John. Like when you see us preparing these drinks, it's just a lot of fun to watch, so, and people get really interested in what's going on when they see it at an event, because they've never seen things like this before. But yeah, I want people that don't drink to have fun too, like I want them to be able to come to the bar, Javier, hook me up with a cool looking mocktail. It's going to look just as sexy as a regular cocktail. You know what I'm saying? Just not going to have the alcohol, but then you can socialize too with other people with it. You have the same looking kind of drink. It's just no alcohol inside of it. So, like I said, I want to make sure that we're getting everyone involved, and that includes people that don't drink. So it's all part of it's part of it too.
That's amazing. I think the audience that's listening in, to hear a business owner pay attention to trends, to pay attention to adapting, to pay attention to, well, I'm not just going to be cookie cutter. I'm going to be inclusive. I'm going to think outside the box, right? I think that's huge. Two more questions for you before we kind of get to the future of Javier. One is, talk about social media a little bit. And, there are a lot of people getting into business today that they obviously know social media is a part of marketing. It's a part of branding. What are some things you've done? Because I follow you on social media, and so it's no secret what Javier does. It's attractive. I love seeing the pictures. It's very well done, very tasteful.
Thank you.
What are some of the things maybe you've learned about social media that you could pass on to an up-and-coming entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, you have to have it. You got to have it. You got to get good at it. Until you can get to a point where you can afford people to actually run that for you. You definitely have to learn how to do it. It took me a bit to really pick it up. Like I remember when I first started, my videos were way too long, and I remember the first social media video I made was about 7 minutes long, and I'm like, nobody's watching the video for 7 minutes, bro. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, it's definitely part of it. And to be honest, John, I don't like social media. Like if it wasn't for my business, I probably would be completely off of it.
I've said the same thing.
Yeah, like I understand the need for it though. And the better I got into the marketing part, I actually felt I love doing it. You know what I mean? Like I started to learn more about it. I read books. It's just like I said, it's not just the physical part of what you do that you love. You got to learn the marketing too. And I did fall in love with that piece too. Like just making sure my image is how I want it to look. You know what I mean? And that my videos are tasteful. That they tell a story of what I do. It's part of, you have to have a social media presence to be successful in business, especially in this industry. So I kind of liked it. Like sometimes I liked it too much because I put way too much time into it. You know what I mean? Because I think it got to a point where I was so concerned about the marketing and the image that I was kind of neglecting the engine, you know what I'm saying? So I remember there was a couple of months where I kind of overbooked myself, you know, because the image looked so great, but I didn't have the engine to perform, you know what I'm saying? So I had to like kind of turn a couple of them down.
Problem. That's a good problem to solve.
Yeah, it is.
That's a better problem to solve than the I don't have enough places to go.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I do think you got, you know, it's got to be a good balance with everything too. You know, you got to make sure that you know the image you're portraying on social media, you have the engine to run it. You know what I'm saying? So I got to have a good balance with it. You know, I'm almost at a point now where I might give up the social media marketing. I might look for people soon, but that's going to be hard because I do love that piece, especially when I, you know, if I have a few days where I have nothing to do, because being a business owner, you're creating time for yourself too. You know, I don't have to worry about going into work 9 to 5, you know, and most of my events are on the weekend, you know, so I got pretty much get all my planning done. And after that, I might have some time to do things, you know what I mean? So I normally spend all that time on my marketing and things like that. And but yeah, you definitely have to have
that leads me to a second question, but keep going if you have more on social media. I think social media is it's absolutely critical. There could be someone in their 40s or 50s watching this that didn't grow up with social media. There could be somebody that's 22 that knows social media, but they don't know how to use it for business.
Right.
So maybe talk about that. There's social media for social. There's social media for business.
Yeah, that's important. I think you have to, you know, with what you do, you kind of got to recognize what your target market is, you know, so and with this, I mean, it can vary. You know, there's some people get married at age 25, you know what I'm saying? So and there's people get married at age 40. So, you know, in this market, if I'm trying to book weddings, you know, I have to try to speak a story that speaks to everyone and can communicate with them. You know what I mean? So, so I mean, I talk to a lot of different kinds of people. A lot of, you know, it's not just people my age either. Like, I mean, I think you're 12 years younger than me, right? So, and I love learning from you too, and your mindset. That way, like if I want to, you know, target a certain market, I got to tap into that mindset, you know what I mean? And how they think and what's going to get them to click like or to click book, you know what I mean? Right. So I think that's important to learn about different mindsets, different targets, you know, different age groups. And when you're creating your ads, you know, and you're creating your social media marketing, you're better prepared to know what attracts that crowd, you know. But for me, it's like I mean, I think last week I got an email from a 66-year-old grandmother, you know, so it's just you know, it just, you never know, you know, so you got to make sure you have a good balance with that too, know the market, and when you're creating an ad, like just have a specific reason for it. This is why I'm building this ad right now for this group.
A target client. It's like you picture the client, you picture who you want that client to be, you craft it for them.
Exactly.
Rather than trying to shotgun blast.
Right. An entire like 20 to
25 different demographics.
Yeah, exactly. You can't do that. You know, and there's little things I do with things like that in my marketing. Like I might, you know, the music I use might be different. Like I pay attention to that. You know what I mean? Like it's not all the same music, you know, like sometimes you might hear a rock song in there. Sometimes you might hear a smooth jazz song. You know what I'm saying? Like that's me, like trying to connect with different demographics and you know, different tastes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Awesome. So the last question before we get to the future of Javier, which is always how I like to finish. The last question is, when it comes to team building, you have other staff, you know, people that work with you.
I love my staff, boy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got a great staff. I know a few of your staff, and they, you know, on a personal level, like they're great people, but from a business standpoint, I can't. So I think back to a book I read years ago called The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And it was actually The E-Myth Revisited. It was like the second one. And he said, there's the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. Now, there is no argument whatsoever that you are a technician because you've mastered your craft. However, you've also had to wear the hat of manager, and you've also had to wear the hat of entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, and you can, give yours on this, but my opinion that the purpose of building a business is so that one day it runs without you.
Mhm.
Now that's my purpose.
Right.
Okay. A successful business runs without me. So the building of a business that runs without me is my definition of entrepreneurship. And I
Right.
think that it's very different from being self-employed. And I want to know for you, how has team building fulfilled that role? And is it a vision of yours to be out of the business at some point?
You know what? I'm glad you asked this because we were talking about this at one of my last events with my staff, and I told my staff, there's three ways I'm going to want to die in my life, right? Either riding my Harley in my sleep or shaking a mean martini. You know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, I mean, I love your opinion, John. Like, you should, like, have your business like run without you, but I don't see myself ever leaving the bar. I think
That's
I'm
great.
always going to be a part of the engine. I just love it. I feel like I'm a drink making machine, like it's just,
The
yeah,
big difference between the ability to walk
yeah,
away and walking away.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we'll see. I
Like
mean,
if
I have some of my staff members are getting better than me, so, but as far as like team building and things like that, it was really hard at first being manager, and being a leader in your business because I feel like I'm just a worker, like I'm just like you. I just decided to branch out and start a business, but like me, I'm just like you. I just want to come to work. I want to come do my thing. So that took a long time for me to understand that these people are looking up to me, so and it's time to be a leader, but as far as team building and things like that, John, like I've always believed, in just hiring good people, like bringing good people in and training them talent. I think that's been my model for my business, because I've brought in these bartenders that are experienced. Oh, I have all this experience, blah, blah, blah. And they get behind my bar, they have no idea, and not only that, like they just have so many bad habits that I can't stand, like this little things we didn't get into in this interview,
I
but
gotta
I
pause you
know
right.
these
I gotta
experienced
pause you right.
bartenders.
I
Yeah,
gotta pause you right there because no, you're so right.
yeah,
And actually, you've just successfully verbalized why I do what I do, and I didn't even
yeah,
realize that's the so. How many people have I interviewed from the industry? Because I'm in the
yeah,
financial world, right? And they're
right.
like, yeah, I've been at one or two different firms in the past. I'm looking for my next firm. And I interview them. They either don't last, or I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to like teach the old dog the new tricks. It's like,
It's hard.
no,
You can't.
I would rather find
Yeah,
a good person
right.
and train them from scratch
Yeah,
on the things they need to know and put my brand on it.
yeah,
I think that's brilliant, Javier. I think what
yeah.
you're doing is awesome.
That's what I've done. That's why, like, and I've told restaurant owners, I don't know, you should have like a top-notch training program at your place where you're bringing in new faces, especially like in Berks County. I feel like it's just a merry-go-round of people working the same places. You know what I mean? So it's like if I go to this restaurant, that restaurant, it's like, oh, I know that bartender. They used to work over here. They used to work over there. It's just like it's like bouncing back and forth. There's like no new faces. In my business, you're going to see new faces because I'm bringing in good people and I'm training them. I'm training them to talent. You can do that. So and plus you're training them the right way of doing things, and you're training them your brand and how to do it, like doing things the way you like it to be done. And we don't take shortcuts with us, bro. Like we do everything the right way, you know what I mean? Like even
Yeah.
like pouring over fresh ice. I know that people don't know too much about that, but that's one detail that we pay attention to. Some bartenders that they'll pour the drink right out the shaker. I just shake my head and I walk away from that place. I'm not paying $15 for a drink here, you know what I'm saying? I just know there's no passion here, so but yeah, that's been my with team building, bringing good people in, training them, and a good person's a good person, they're going to
Now
treat your
here's a
clients
fun
well, you know
here. Treat your clients well. Train
yeah,
your people. Got it. Sorry to interrupt, but
well, good.
my brain just went to a funny scenario. My brain just went. I just pictured this scenario happening, and then I just started laughing. I don't know. So it was. You're so well known in Berks County through social media, through the events you've run.
Right.
I gotta know that you go up to a bar, you go up to a restaurant, right? Okay. and the bartender knows who you
Yeah,
are,
it
they
happens a
start
lot. Yeah.
shaking.
Yeah, they do. Some of them do. Like, oh, Javier's here. Like,
You're like, oh no.
you could tell that they'll put their tie. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll start getting all proper. I'm like, oh, just calm down. It's all good. Just give me a vodka and soda. I'm good.
Don't give them a hard one.
Yeah.
Don't give them a difficult order.
Yeah. I mean, listen, to be honest with you, I haven't actually it's been this year, John. I know that you're in your sobriety journey. I've lost like 40 pounds this year. So, and a lot of that
Wow.
had to do with me eliminating alcohol too. So actually I eliminated about 80% of my alcohol this year, you know, so I don't drink that much either, you know, which is part of it. But like when I go out to places, I pretty much know within the first few moves if it's worth the $15 for this drink. You know what I'm saying? Without
Yeah.
me even saying anything, you know. So just by seeing, you know, the first couple of moves when they're moving, you know. So and but I'm kind of a drink snob. You know, people hate going out with me for drinks. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's like going out with a chef. You go out with a
Right.
chef, like this here, come on, you know.
That is too funny.
But yeah,
So the last question, and I think where this is where business is born from. This next question is entrepreneurs, successful
yeah,
business owners. They have an ability to see what doesn't exist yet and then go to work creating it.
yep,
And the minute that stops, the business stops growing. So
right.
there's a vision in your head. There's something you see that the rest of us don't see that you're working on. What's the vision look like? What's the future look like for A Night with Javier?
There's, you know, I've had so many ideas that it's been hard for me to kind of condense everything. But the initial vision for me is because I've spoken to so many different people about their weddings, and they have all these. I've worked $300,000 events, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, people have money. I have no idea where to get this money from. You know. But anyway, but they're frustrated because they got to connect so many dots. You know, and they'll hire a planner, and they'll tell the planner to do this, and this, and this, and that, and this, and that. But like, even with planners, like, there's so many people that you have to get together for a successful event. You got to have the caterer, the florist, you know, the baker, the bartending, the music, you know, the design, like all of that. You know what I'm saying? There was one event. Actually, a lot of events now have you know, valet parking. You know, so and you have to do that too. There's so many contracts involved here. You know,
Wow.
so and actually it was that event that I worked that was like $300,000 or something like that. I'm like, yo, I would love to get a $300,000 check. You know, like, so like my complete vision down the road, John, was always to condense everything. A Night with Javier is all inclusive. It's like, we can do not only your bartending, we can cook, we can do the valet parking, we do the planning, the flowers, we do everything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm actually in talks with. There's so many chefs that have contacted me that want to get on board with it to move on to the next step. You know, so but that's pretty much the division. A Night with Javier is to be all inclusive, like have everything. That way, there's only one contract, and you don't have to try to get all these people involved. You know, like, it's almost like there's too many Indians. You know what I'm saying? It's just too many heads bouncing. You know, so like what I'm trying to do is get everything into one. You know, so yeah.
You've heard the set. Okay, so I think entrepreneurs need to dissect what you just said. I'm
Yeah.
going to help draw out. I've been in business 11 years. I've made
Right.
mistakes. I've done okay. But I think entrepreneurs who are starting out, I'm going to help them get a nugget here. There's two schools of thought. The person who chases two rabbits catches none. So you
Right.
need to be very, very focused. And an entrepreneur hears that and goes, I'm just going to do bartending.
Right.
Okay. Then another entrepreneur says, well, I'm already running the event. They already trust me. Don't leave any money on the table. Get it all.
Right. Yeah.
If I can offer the same level of service that I'm offering here, and I already have the trusted relationship, why can I not pivot and offer the same value and service in these other areas that are already needed? And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, the mistake they make is they try to do it all from the get-go.
Mhm.
And you didn't.
No.
You did this one thing.
Right.
But now
I'm ready for the next. Yeah.
so it was like McDonald's. It was a soda, a burger, and fries.
Mhm.
They didn't even have breakfast on the menu until there were 20,000 locations.
Right.
Okay. So it's like go get the one thing done. Go
Right.
deep with that one thing. Get the trusted relationships, get the contracts, get the clients through your one thing. And then you pivot. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And I feel like we have the bartending piece mastered, so and it's one of the best in the country. I don't mean to toot my horn, but it's just what I hear from other people
Here, I'll
that
toot
travel the
it.
world.
It's
You know,
the best in the country.
it's just from what I hear from people that travel around the world, and I don't think they're just telling me that, like I feel like we have a very amazing bar program for private events, so we have that down. So like I said, there's a few chefs that I'm talking to now that want to get involved. I think, then we'll work on that. I think that's going to come up within the next year and a half, maybe 2 years or so. We should be able to offer like a very high level catering program too now, where not only do we have amazing a catering service, but we also have one of the best bar services in the country. You know what I'm saying?
I
Which
may
is
have a
what's going to
contact
separate
for you on that, by the way.
which is what's going to separate us, because most caterers, their bartending is just thrown in. It's just whatever. We have his and her Malibu Bay breezes, and whatever, and it's nothing, craft or special. It's a very cookie cutter. So once we get the catering piece down, which is next, we already have a really great bartending piece. It's going to be hard to compete with us. But that's the next piece, John. That's what I want to do next, and then from there, maybe add the valet parking, add the planning, add the florist, add the videography. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, people are frustrated.
You'll already have the client base.
Right, exactly, and I'm making a lot of connections now.
Yeah.
And with people, when I talk to them about my vision, like, oh yeah, Hav, when you're ready, you let me know. You know what I'm saying? So. But yeah, that's down the road, bro. And with God's blessing, obviously, you know what I mean. I have a lot of faith in God too, and I think that He wants me to prosper. So I think once I just got to take those faithful steps, bro. And I think this is a big step I'm going to take very soon once I connect with someone that I trust. And then we'll go from there. But yeah, for anyone young listening, take those steps forward, man. Even if it's a small step,
Man, I am so fired up that we spent a little bit of time unpacking like your story, the nuggets. And it's funny, I've been able to interview, Javier, people from multiple industries now. And I think you're the first one from the hospitality, industry. And what I pay attention for is obviously people who are successful, but people who can articulate how they got to where they are. And you've done that today. I think you've given our audience just so many nuggets that are universal in business. And I'm grateful you took some time today, man. Thank you.
Dude, man, this was awesome. I wish we had more time. I could talk about.
How about part 2?
Hey, listen, we'll meet up for lunch or something one day.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much. And guys, if you want to go on Instagram, look up A Night with Javier, go follow him on Instagram. And, Javier, thank you again for everything. And we'll put a pin in this right here.
Been a pleasure, brother.
All right.